obviously we're at that point in time where mock drafts are literally flying all over the place. All the experts, the social media platforms, literally everyone has released their mock draft for round one of the or for this season's upcoming draft. And the Vikings, well, we've talked about them a couple times, mainly on the offensive side of the ball, where we're taking a quarterback, trading up potentially and stuff like that. Who's going to be their replacement for Kirk Cousins? We've talked a little bit about the defense with the defensive tackle out of Texas, Byron Murphy. We talked about Nate Wiggins, the cornerback from Clemson, who is one of the top corners in the draft. And today we're actually going to go right back to the defensive side of the ball because the Athletics' Deontay Lee released his mock draft and basically had the Vikings taking a standout player in that secondary, specifically a corner. So before we get to that, make sure to subscribe to the channel. So the Vikings have historically, or not historically, at least the last 10 years probably, haven't had good luck drafting top tier corners, right? At one point, like towards that Trey Waynes era, we drafted like 5 cornerbacks in round 1 or the top 3 rounds, and none of them were on the roster at like the next year or something like that. It was a crazy stat, like draft 5 corners in the first round, and 5 years later, none of them are on the team because they're just not good. We've had a terrible time trying to find a superstar corner, trying to find somebody that can boost this secondary and make us just a little bit better. And look, in the last 6 NFL drafts, the Vikings have taken 5 cornerbacks in the top 3 rounds. Almost none of them have panned out, which means they still have a significant need at one of football's premium defensive positions. In 2018, we took Mike Hughes. Okay, didn't pan out. In 2020, we took Jeff Gladney. Didn't work out. In 2020, we also took Cam Dantzler. Really didn't work out. He was not that good. Kind of a lost cause. Couldn't stop the deep ball. Was good every once in a while. Could get the strips and all that stuff like that, but wasn't that good. In 2022, we took Andrew Booth Jr. in the 3rd round. Still have yet to see him have some type of success. He's seen the field a little bit this season. Wasn't that great. But I think he's making the strides in the right direction. But he's not what we drafted him, or he's not doing what we expected to when we drafted him. And then this past year, Mekhi Blackmon from USC. Okay, he I think still has some room to grow. Okay, year 1 wasn't great, wasn't bad by any means. I think he's going to be a decent player moving forward, so that helps us out a little bit. But almost none of these guys have worked out for us. That's because we historically don't have a good time or don't have good drafts when we take a corner. It just, for some reason, it doesn't work out. All right. Now, heading into 2024, the Vikings have Byron Murphy Jr. and Mekhi Blackmon as their top 2 corners, with Caleb Evans and Andrew Booth Jr. hoping to turn things around in year 3. Now, Caleb Evans, I thought he did pretty decent this season. There was a couple times where, obviously he's going to get beat and it didn't look great. He was dealing with some injuries this year, but I think he's headed in the right direction. So that helps us out a little bit. But the cupboard isn't completely bare. Okay, but Murphy is only under contract for 1 more season, and Minnesota could really use a true cornerback 1 on a rookie contract. That's why, okay, it would make plenty of sense for them to go in that direction once again in the 1st round of this year's draft. Now, the top corners, well, Alabama's Tyrion Arnold, Clemson's Nate Wiggins, and Toledo's Quinion Mitchell are among the 2024 corners who the Vikings could consider taking with that 11th overall pick. In a new mock draft from the Athletics' Deontay Lee, the Vikings go with Tyrion Arnold, the first team All-American from Alabama who hasn't even turned 21 yet. Okay, can enjoy a nice beverage legally. All right, this guy's young. He's a stud. He's awesome to watch on the field. He almost made it to a national championship. I mean, this guy is pretty solid, and Deontay Lee thinks he's the top corner in this year's draft. Here's what he had to say about Tyrion Arnold. Now, the Vikings can go in a few different directions here, and in fact, he says, I think it would make sense to trade back. I don't think that'd be a great idea. Okay, we've done that in the past. Doesn't work out for us. Okay, could have had Kyle Hamilton, could have had Jamison Williams. I mean, just it doesn't work out. Okay, trade up or stay at the 11th overall pick and kind of deal with the cards that are dealt to you, basically. But rebuilding on the fly means bringing in young talent at premium positions. At 6 foot, around 200 pounds, Tyrion Arnold has prototypical size to match up with any receiver, and his change of direction skills keep him in tight coverage across the entire route tree. Okay, the ball skills he showed this season, 5 interceptions, pretty dang good if you ask me, marked a major development. and it's why I feel he's the top cornerback in the class. Okay? Arnold is an absolute stud. All right? The 20-year-old stuffed stat sheet with 5 interceptions, 12 total passes defended, 6.5 tackles for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble last season as a junior. That's pretty good if you ask me. He primarily plays on the boundary, but he can also move inside to nickel. According to PFF, Arnold allowed just 41 catches on 79 targets, which is 52%. Got to clean that up a little bit, but it's pretty decent, while earning an 88.3 grade. He's a playmaker in coverage who also shines in run defense, which is why he'd be a perfect fit in the Brian Flores defense. Just a couple years ago, or last year, I should say, at the beginning of this all, when Brian Flores was hired, we talked about what he was looking for in players to bring to the defensive side of things. And he said versatility. I want guys who can basically do it all, play multiple positions, and be aggressive and have all that, blah, blah, blah. Tyrion Arnold fits that perfectly. If he can play both outside and he can come in on the inside during the nickel formation and just kind of do all these things and not only be a good pass defender, a good run defender as well, that's even a bigger plus on that side of things. So if the Vikings do decide to go this direction, cornerback, I'm not going to be upset as long as we have that quarterback position figured out, or if we think we can get one in round 2 or maybe trade up late in round 1 and take somebody. I have no idea, because I've seen another report where J.J. McCarthy could end up being the successor to Kirk Cousins, but he would have to learn under Kirk Cousins, so that means re-signing him and blah, blah, blah. But bringing in Tyrion Arnold or any of these top corners, I think instantly makes this defense better. It puts us in a better, spot, I guess you could say, defensively around the league. And a lot of you guys, a lot of people who've watched these videos say, no, enough with the offense. Defense, we need defensive pieces. The quarterback position, it is what it is. We'll get it figured out. But we need to build the roster around this whole team, and I understand that, right? I completely understand what you guys are getting at. But the quarterback position is one that we have to keep an eye on. But as of right now, all these mock drafts, there's multiple ones linking us to quarterbacks and trading up or staying at the 11th overall pick. And there's a couple that are saying, hey, Vikes could go defense here, being defensive tackle or corner. I've seen more mock drafts where we're taking a corner than we're taking a quarter, or then we're taking a defensive tackle or any other position on defensively, which makes a lot of sense because we need a lot of help at the cornerback position. So I'd be okay with this move if he is the top corner in football and you want to stay at 11 and you want to take this guy, then so be it. Let's just figure out that quarterback position and kind of go from there. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this selection, Tyrion Arnold from Alabama to the Minnesota Vikings at the 11th overall pick per The Athletic's Deontay Lee. Let me know down below in the comment section. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of your night, folks, and Skol Vikes.